So what if I told you that it's possible to actually make over $1,000 a week from your side hustle? You've heard it right. While I was in my final year of medical school, I started a small side hustle that turned into something generating over 1,000 USD per week. When I started, I didn't have a business plan. I didn't post about it online, and it had nothing to do with dropshipping, forex, or investing. Within the first few months, it was making over $1,000 a week, and at this time, I had never worked a real job before. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through the 3 biggest lessons I learned from that experience and how that business turned into a full brand that's still running today. Lesson 1. Your best business decision and idea is right in front of you. So, when I decided to start this small business, I really didn't invent anything new. As the saying goes, don't reinvent the wheel. I didn't follow a course, I didn't have a mentor. I simply just leaned into what I already knew and what I knew best, and that was the sport of badminton. So, my unfair advantage was I was a national player from the age of 10, and I had a deep understanding of the sport. In my country, there were a lot of gaps in coaching, and the needs for local players were many. I saw that a lot of other coaches started really small. They offered small group lessons and one-to-one sessions. But what I had envisioned was something greater. A brand, a service that anyone could find online, sign up and start playing badminton immediately, regardless of their level. And in my country, I removed all the barriers badminton traditionally had. I made the training schedule public on the internet, and I marketed the hell out of it. Within a few months, I had my weekends filled with hundreds of adults, children, teenagers, all these students being coached by myself and my friends from the national team at the time. So my 2 biggest takeaways from this were: 1, don't reinvent the wheel, just make it better. So although my coaching services were objectively better than the already existing ones, the packaging of the coaching sessions was available to all ages. And what really made this stand out was that I marketed it on all social media platforms. That was the game changer. So sometimes repackaging something that's already good makes it way, way better. Think Amazon. You know, the largest retail marketplace in the world. It had humble beginnings as just an online bookstore. And what they did was they ran with that success from books, and they made a commitment to customer service. They expanded this model to literally everything, and basically Amazon runs e-commerce where you can buy anything from them. Don't reinvent the wheel. Number 2, your network is actually your net worth. So when I first started coaching with my best friend, we initially had a lot of criticism. I'm not entirely sure why this was the case, as we were providing the community with a much needed service. However, in the words of the entrepreneur Jim Rohn, you probably heard this before, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Despite this criticism, I was able to get a lot of my friends on board to support me and coach alongside me, and I reached out for help marketing as I had no experience in this before, and this helped make the business as successful as it is today. But it's also important to remember that your network can actually negatively influence your business. If I had listened to those who had criticized the idea around me at the time, I wouldn't have had the motivation to continue and make the business what it is today. So the point of the lesson is, choose who you tell and choose who you spend your time with really wisely. Lesson number 2. Time constraints are a blessing in disguise. I want you to imagine this. I was still in medical school and it was tough. I had very limited time and my final medical exams were right around the corner. As you can imagine, this was a really tough time for me physically, mentally, and emotionally. The lack of time forced me to get ultra efficient. Coaching sessions were scheduled in tight, non-negotiable blocks, so I had to leverage my network fast, and I had to learn how to delegate immediately. However, this pressure allowed me to learn how to make decisions really fast. I picked the options that would drive the most impact for the business in the quickest and easiest way. Setting realistic deadlines has been shown to increase performance and decrease procrastination. And I knew that research had shown that those who set deadlines tend to accomplish more in less time compared to those who didn't. So I knew starting this during such a stressful time would be able to teach me one of the most valuable lessons. And that was how to batch my time, manage my energy, and stay consistent, while having a strict schedule. So you might be wondering, why did I commit so much time to this side business when my exams were around the corner? Well, I made a promise to myself to commit to hours of coaching, as I really wanted to start something even after finishing medical school. And I think the most pivotal moment for me was when I realized how much money it could possibly make, as there was 1 week in the early stages where we did hit over 1,000 USD, and this was only around 5 days of work for about maybe 4 hours per day. And I realized that using these resources and not over-indexing the time I spent directly, I would be able to reap the benefits of this business in the long run. Lesson number 3, momentum breeds momentum. Let me be real. When I first started my small business, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't even have any idea that I would be making money from it. It literally was just a side hobby. But one thing that I learned extremely quickly, was that once you get started, things sometimes just fall into place. I spent quite a bit of money on social media marketing, but what I found was when the customer finds you and has a good experience, they will continue coming to you. They're going to tell their friends when they realize that it's a fun activity and it's run really well. Their friends brought their friends, and those friends brought other friends. The more feedback we gained, the more we improved the experience we delivered. The more people came out to support us, led to big growth. This momentum allowed us to scale our services, allowing us to have more sessions, more group sessions, more revenue to drive more marketing, which meant more customers. Chapter 4, what I do differently now. Hindsight is 2020. So, let me be honest, I did make a lot of mistakes starting this side business, and it didn't make 1,000 per week every week. There was even some weeks where we actually lost money. So it's important I'll be transparent about that. But looking back at the journey, it's easy to focus on all the mistakes I made during the process. After all, hindsight is 2020. Although there are some things I would do differently, such as hiring people that are actually the right fit, not overpaying for services I didn't need, and managing the money overall much better. But one of the biggest lessons that I would go back and not let happen again was I'd not let people downplay the importance and how much work I have put in building it. What I've realized over running this business for many years now with my best friend is that the mistakes we made along the way, though frustrating, made the journey unforgettable, fun, and taught us lessons that we would have never learned on our own. What do I mean by this? These mistakes were the building blocks for my entrepreneurial development. And I know that many successful companies have made initial mistakes that they have had to overcome to become successful. Walt Disney had many setbacks in his early career. He was rejected over 300 times by bankers for Mickey Mouse, who eventually became an iconic character. And when you think about it, personally, running this side business has taught me so many valuable skills. Skills I even use for my day job now that I never would have known before. I learned about social media marketing, delegation, time management, managing people, managing sales. And it was my first time learning how to actually run a system that could function without me. This became my first income stream before I even had my first job. So don't let that fear of making mistakes hold you back from pursuing your dreams. I can't stress enough how much just starting something you believe in can change your life. So if you've made it this far in the video, the key takeaway I want you to have is that my side hustle didn't just make me money. It gave me the confidence and the proof to know that I could build something on my own. I had the skills and I was able to learn, overcome mistakes, and do something for myself. And it all started with what I already had on my hands. If you're sitting on a skill, a talent, an experience you've been overlooking, that could be your freedom vehicle. That could be the thing that you could start your business on. If you guys want to know more, subscribe for more practical ways. We're all about building freedom and escaping our 9-to-5. Drop a comment if you're working on your side hustle now. I'll reply to everyone because I want to hear about it.